Welcome back to our podcast, Culture Shock Therapy, where we get into a whole lot of therapy for all of the culture shocks we experienced as third culture kids. We are your hosts. I am Shauna. This is my sister Tessa. And today we are going to get into our 22nd episode, Reality Check. So stay tuned if you want to dive in with us. Take it away.
Um, so 10 minutes ago at dinner, we were discussing how Dad mentioned yesterday to me that one of his colleagues who's moving to the country where they're working, he's moving there and he has kids, and how he listens to the podcast because it can give him insight sometimes in what the TCK is like for kids, because I can imagine adults, are the ones that make the decisions. It can be very, like a really cool experience to say yes to, but it's always hard to know what to expect. Like what's going to happen for your kids. Je kan het moeilijk inschatten.
You can't really estimate what's going to happen.
What the impact will be on your kids. So that got us thinking like, oh, we've talked about so many good stuff and we've talked about some of the tough stuff. But we thought it might be good to also just talk about like, hey, the reality check. It's such a cool experience to grow up as a third culture kid. But that it also obviously, has its downsides, and they can be there simultaneously. Like you can be enjoying and missing home. The whole thing of having one foot in both worlds, but never actually being in one. And I think that starts the moment you become a third culture kid.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because, for me, I'll compare it to like Singapore and the Netherlands because it's the most prominent in our life. But like when you're in Singapore, you miss the Netherlands and you feel like you don't belong in Singapore, you belong there. But when you're in the Netherlands, you miss Singapore and you feel like you belong there because you can't really belong here.
Yeah, and there's such a different identity part of you that's there in those moments. So we thought that'd be really interesting to look into. I think it'll also be interesting for us, like, hey, hearing from each other, how did we experience that? When did we really start mourning our moves? Yeah, you want to start with quick check-in first?
Sure. I like the phrase mourning our moves, though. It's a nice alliteration going on.
Maybe we should. That's what we should call the episode: mourning our moves.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's so double always. On the one hand, it's so exciting going to a new place and getting that new experience, and on the other hand, you miss the place that you're leaving. But we'll get into that in a little bit. First, a quick check-in. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. Nothing special really. I had a really fun weekend.
What'd you do?
Ate a lot. Friday night I went to a authentic Indian restaurant.
And the one we went to with Dad last year.
So delicious, but we had to wait 90 minutes for our food.
Was it that busy, or?
There were a lot of takeaway orders in between, and there was just this one guy, this poor waiter who,
running his ass off.
Yeah. So that was delicious. And then Saturday we ordered food, and Dylan's sister and her husband came over. We had a game night.
Oh, nice.
So we played a lot of Nintendo Switch games, and that was really fun. We really both enjoyed that.
Yeah, can imagine.
We used to hang out with them a lot. And then we haven't for a while. Then now we're like, oh, that was really fun again. And then Sunday I went with our cousin, took him for dinner at a tapas restaurant.
Oh, nice. Where'd you go? In Ada?
Tres in Amersfoort.
Oh, yeah. How was it?
Oh, it was fun. We had a good time. And there were like these delicious like garlic toasts with brie and honey on it. It was just like this flavor bomb in your mouth. We ordered it 3 times. And we had a really good conversation. Really appreciated that.
Yeah. You know, I sometimes forget that we're on the podcast and like I want to ask questions. I'm like, oh wait, I should probably like do that outside the podcast and not
we're gonna spill all the family tea on the podcast.
Our family or friends. But that sounds like a good weekend.
Yeah, how was yours?
It was really good, honestly, because Friday we both had off. And we took some time. We went into the city together. We bought a new carpet for, the living room, which I feel really just completes the living room area.
Yeah.
Because before
it's warmer.
The couch felt very random, like it was just placed there. And now with the carpet, it's more of a whole. And Bo has a place where he can practice crawling or whatever.
Yeah.
And Chef will cuddle more with us now, so that's really cute. But excuse me, in the afternoon, we like got all dressed up for each other, put on makeup and whatever. Well, I did not, Koen. And we brought both to mom and dad's, and he slept over there. And first we had a beer with mom and dad, and then Koen took me out to dinner to Somayak. It's
Mm.
a new restaurant. I think it's new in Amersfoort op de Hof, and it's Korean fried chicken.
Ooh.
And they had these beef skewers. Oh man, I felt like I was eating in a hawker. The taste of that was so good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we had dim sum and roast. Can't remember, roast beef. I don't know. It was really good. And I had bought tickets to this concert like a year ago. It's Candlelight by Fever, and it was in the St. Joriskerk, so
Mm-hmm.
like this really really old church with these huge like high ceilings, and they had filled it with like candles, fake
Mm.
ones of course, but candles. And there was I think it's called a string quartet, three violins and one cello,
Oh, very
and they
nice.
played Imagine Dragons and Coldplay,
Oh,
and
very
it was
cool.
so cool just to like be in a different experience.
Yeah.
Um, and just to be out with Kun, the two of us being us again instead of being mom and dad. And then we got home and we're like, we don't have responsibilities. We can just like go to bed, sleep in, and the next morning we woke up at like 9, which for us is insanely late because right now the clock went back. And
Oh
Bo is
yeah.
getting up, like he's waking up around 4:30/5, and then around 5:30 we'll get him out of bed. So we're making long days. But we got to sleep in. We rotted on the sofa eating breakfast and watching crap on YouTube. And it was just really great. And the rest of the day, we just kind of like, I did a lot of chores around the house. But you know how you're just kind of in that flow and vibe?
Yeah. Just doing your thing.
That. And I really enjoyed that. So it was a really, really good weekend. And Sunday, we had a good service at church. Mom and dad came.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we had some elders over the floor from the church. Over the floor. It's a Dutch
It's
saying.
another. It's another Tessa
um,
English quote.
we had them as guests
Mm.
here for a cup of coffee. So no, it was a really, really good weekend actually. But I keep having a brain fart that today's Thursday, so I keep thinking, oh, I have weekend, but I don't. But
Well, you have tomorrow off, so.
that helps. But then like getting in the mindset that after working on Thursday. But yeah, anyway, that's the in check. Check in. Oh my gosh. This is
You
what my
doing
brain
okay?
does. Yeah, I mean I'm good, but my brain's disagreeing. Reality check, mourning our moves. We moved a lot. We've discussed that before and told our story. What was the first time that you actually mourned a move?
I think the first time I actually mourned the move, mm, I would say deeply was from Dubai to Singapore, but I remember the first time feeling the slightest bit upset when we moved away from Florida.
Yeah?
Yeah, yeah, it wasn't as deep because we were really young
Yeah.
still. But I remember, I mean, even looking back, that year there was like the best time of my life. I mean, I was 6 and 7, so I didn't really have stress or anything, but like how we lived life,
Idyllic.
yeah, it was like how you would imagine it to be, you know? It was
Playing.
nothing big, it was nothing fancy, it was very simple, but it was awesome.
Yeah.
Very tranquil, serene, just wonderful.
I think the best days were when me and Chantal would have gym, and
Hmm.
you and Brandon would have it later, and me and Chantal would already go back to the house to eat grilled cheese
Yeah,
and swim, and then you guys would join later, and we would all just hang out at the house and swim.
yeah,
Those
yeah,
simple things that,
yeah, and going to
like,
Tiger Shark Park,
exactly, like,
doing shaving cream on the desks at school, you know, things like that. Um, Aftercare, you know, when we got to stay at school longer because mom would pick us up later or something. We'd go
I
to play in the
cried.
playground.
I hated it.
Oh, I thought it was so cool. But that year, I remember right before we moved back to Holland, we had the poodle party at Granny's.
Yes. Oh.
Um, and I remember it's like one of those flashback memories that I talked to dad about this is I was like, can we stay longer? Like, please, can we please stay longer? And he was like, we really tried everything to stay longer. We've already stayed longer, but we really have to go now.
Oh my
Um,
gosh, now that you're saying this, I'm getting like flashback.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I knew we couldn't stay, but I remember just feeling like, oh, I really like wish we could stay here longer because life was just so great. And then moving to Holland, I didn't like it at all. And that transition was also really hard and was a lot of struggles that year. I mean, I was in second grade that year. Can you imagine?
Yeah, but I mean, you've said in previous episodes how you got bullied really badly
Yeah,
that
and the
year.
language was a big thing. And
We didn't get to go to the school we wanted to go to, and
yeah, and I remember like people be like, "Oh, where did you come from?" We'd be like, "Oh, from America," and they're like, "Oh no, you're lying." And then just little petty stuff. But
the whole
I
experience.
didn't like it. So when Dad told us a few months later that we're leaving again, I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, love that." Um, but yeah, I think the more deeper mourning was from Dubai to Singapore, and that had whole different reasons. But the first time I remember actually feeling sadness leaving was then. The other moves, like before that, not really. It was just a thing we did. School ended and we left.
Yeah. Do
Yeah,
you remember leaving every country?
I remember leaving Penang.
Really?
Yeah, that when we lived in Gurney, playing in the hallway with our neighbor Julia.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the boxes being packed. I remember that. I don't remember the whole process, but I remember leaving. I remember leaving Holland before going to Penang, but very vaguely.
We were very young.
We are very young, so that's more like a
Really?
flashback memory. Um, I don't remember leaving the Philippines at all. I remember living there, but I don't remember leaving.
Yeah.
Mm. And I don't remember leaving Suriname. Also flashback memories of living there, but that would be about it. Yeah. And then after that, we were old enough to really like remember leaving
Yeah.
Holland after the year in Florida, and I was like, I was not sad. I was like, okay, let's go. Time for another adventure. I was sick of this place.
Yeah, but it's funny if you look at, like, if we're talking about mourning our losses. Gosh, that went deep. Mourning our moves, jeez.
Oops.
Not the conversation I want to have. Mourning our moves. How it's not every place that you mourn, but it
Mm.
seems that the common denominator in not mourning is the Netherlands.
Yep.
Like it honestly,
Yeah.
we weren't looking forward to moving here. We were happy to leave again. And it'd be different now
We
as
didn't
adults.
like the living experience here either.
No, and I find that kind of funny because it's supposed to be your home place and the most safe, but
But
yeah.
I feel like now you're able to like relativate a lot more like the differences in how you perceive things as a TCK versus someone who grew up here. Whereas when we lived in the Netherlands earlier, like between America and Dubai, we didn't understand that. We just thought it was in the time that we thought everybody lived the way we lived. So we really couldn't place ourselves in their shoes.
Yeah.
So it was just this one big
Connect.
misunderstanding, disconnect of each other's situations, and we couldn't understand them, but they couldn't understand us either.
Yeah.
So I think, in that sense, the age and the experience really had a big part in it. Because I mean, now if we look back and we talk about it, it would be like, oh yeah, but kids at that age, they talk about the same TV shows that they watch, and if you don't watch it, then you're lame, and we understand that now. But I mean, back then we couldn't understand, and that's not a weird thing because we were 5 and 7 years old.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I just find it funny like that. That's a shared experience that we both had and both don't look back on positively. Because I had the same experience as you being happy to leave the Netherlands. I had the same experience being sad to leave America, but I don't actually remember leaving. Like, I remember what you're talking about and staying in that hotel the last few days
Club
because we
Med,
had to give up the house.
yeah, that
Um,
was a good time.
oh
We
no,
did
I got
acrobatics and stuff.
no. You had fun things. I was too young for so much crap. And then in the pool, like, okay, so I never had swim lessons.
Mm.
Mom and dad taught me how to swim by swimming with me and throwing me in the pool and constantly, like, backing away a little bit, like, hey, swim. That's how you do it. So I swam like a dog. Nobody cared.
You stayed afloat.
Exactly, it worked. And I wasn't trying to be a freaking like competitive swimmer. I was able
You were
to.
4.
Exactly. Um, so I could swim. And they had this dumb rule that for a certain age you had to wear floaties. And I hated that because floaties are not fun. You can't do anything because you're just floating in the water, and I wanted to go
They
underwater.
force you up.
And even mom went to them like, she can swim, she's fine. They're like, no, 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 because we can get sued, and because it's America and everybody sues each other. I, I did not like Club Med because of that.
Oh, it's such a
And you did
shame.
like archery and stuff,
I
and I
did
didn't get to do
archery.
that.
I did acrobatics on this trampoline type thing.
I didn't get to do all that.
Swinging. I don't know what it's called. The trapeze.
Yeah.
The trapeze. We did that. That was awesome.
I'm so jealous.
We went sailing. We practiced like for this evening show. We did so much cool stuff. Like imagine I was like 6, 7 and I was just playing archery.
But imagine how chill this was for mom and dad. We go to a hotel and they just like give their kids to a kids club that does all this really cool stuff with them, and they just get to chill. Like the two of them.
Heaven.
Yeah.
Heaven. But that trapeze, like, oh, that was the coolest thing.
You're
like,
afraid of heights.
I am now. Back then it was like the higher the better. It like the wilder
Psycho.
the better. Yeah. I wasn't afraid of anything back then. The fear of heights started like when I was like 21, 22.
I have
and
a
it's gotten
video.
progressively worse.
So like for those of you who have like normal attics, I don't know what it's like in other countries.
Normal attics?
Yeah. Like here in the Netherlands.
Oh, attics.
Yeah.
Not addicts.
No, attics.
Like you have a normal addict and then you have Shauna.
Junkie, no. Our attic that in our parents' house, like you have to pull this staircase out of the ceiling. And Shauna was like 3 steps up, and she was already like, "Oh, I'm too scared to keep going." So I
got up. I remember that, but then I was convinced I couldn't come back down.
Honey, you were 3 steps up.
I know that, like when I was like 15, I'd like run up and down that thing, jump off of it, whatever. And now I was like hanging over the thing with my legs. I'm like, I can't come down. Like my mind would just not allow me to be like, okay, just take a step. It's okay. I'm like, no, I can't move. So yeah, then every time dad had to go up to the attic for me to get my stuff.
Which was a lot of times when you moved out. But anyway, back to the topic. We were talking about how we had the shared experience. I think the only thing I was sad about leaving the Netherlands was, my best friend I had here.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, I wasn't, and family, of course. Grandma was so close.
But that's a given. I don't feel like we have to do a disclaimer on that every single time.
No, of course. But
unless you want to, of course. But like, don't feel bad.
Besides that, I wasn't really sad about leaving.
Mm-hmm.
I was really looking forward to Dubai. Like, I don't know. I was just happy to leave the Netherlands. But Dubai, we stayed there first for a year, and then mom and dad were like, "Oh, we're gonna switch schools, but you're gonna stay here another year." And we were like, "Oh, what's happening?" Never lived anywhere at that point more than a year. And I think that second year, because we had never been somewhere a second year, it felt to us like an eternity. Like, oh, this is our place now.
This is our home now. Yeah.
Like I felt such a different grounding in that year. Also, the first year we didn't have friends in the neighborhood yet, and we didn't connect that good at our school that we were in, I think.
Oh, I did. But I had my group of friends.
Yeah, I mean, I had some friends, but I wasn't like, I was always kind of like wanderer in my head. I think I missed a lot as well. But
no, I had like this little girl group.
Is that where you met Vanessa?
Yeah, in Arabic A.
Oh, yeah, no, I thought maybe that was the other school. But when we went to the second school, we started making friends in our neighborhood as well, that taught us skateboarding, and we played with them every single day, and we met Helen.
Yeah.
And I made friends in that school, and we just really started grounding there and getting used to living there. And so when we started another year there in school, this was it,
It was unheard of.
For the 6 years I had lived in this world, not that I lived in other worlds, but that I had existed, I was spending a third year somewhere. So
in
when
the same
dad
house.
Yeah, so when dad came with the idea, like, how would you feel about moving back to Asia? I remember we were on holiday in Fujairah, swimming at the beach, and he said, how would you feel about that while we were playing in the ocean? And I was thinking, like, no, what do I have with Asia? That's not home to me. Ew. And I thought he genuinely, he kind of did, but genuinely meant it as a question, not that it was really something being put in motion.
Yeah.
So I figured when we said no, that was that.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of like it hit me like a train when they were like, oh, but we are moving. And it was the first time we really built deeper friendships, I think. And you're at that age where you're starting to form that. And I don't remember actually leaving Dubai, like getting on the plane, but I do remember leading up saying goodbye to Tom and Hayden, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, that's because we went to South Africa in between. And then from South
oh,
Africa, we
yeah,
went to Singapore.
that was a funny holiday. But I remember in Singapore, we talked about living in that hotel for a while. But even by the time we moved into the house, which was
January,
January, so we lived in a hotel November and December and
or
part of
half of
January,
January. Yeah.
so quite a while. But even when we were moving into the house, I remember crying often in my bed, missing Dubai, wanting to go back. When Dad told us we were going back for Christmas, man, we jumped a hole through the roof. That fact that we were going back home.
Yeah.
So it was very strange. I think the realization.
I think Dad, because we were still living in the hotel and it was before Christmas. It was right before Mom's birthday.
We hadn't settled. We didn't have friends
Yeah,
yet.
and I think Dad saw that we all were having a hard time with the move. Um, and
And he was working, so
yeah,
Mom had just us and
yeah, and of course, Mom's friends were in Dubai as well. So he did us like a massive favor and sent us over for Christmas break. And I think that even though after that it was still a struggle, it kind of took that
edge
edge
off.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like what they would tell us sometimes, like the first time Mom went overseas with Dad, she was miserable, and then he sent her back for a little bit, and she came back just,
The realization
um,
that everyone is still there.
yeah,
They didn't forget about you. I mean, people move on, but it's still there.
yeah, yeah, and just
Um,
knowing that can just, yeah, take the edge off.
yeah.
And I think that did something really good for us. But I also remember that when we lived in the house, when we had finally moved in, I didn't enjoy it because every weekend was spent. Sorry, every weekend was spent working on the house.
Yeah.
So we had insanely boring weekends, like the first 6 months before life kind of
Picked
came.
up.
Um,
There was no one in the neighborhood for us. I mean, there's that like other Dutch family with really young kids, but that wasn't
yeah,
really
that wasn't really
a
it. And there was
connect.
only so many times we could scooter off the hill, that we
Yeah.
lived on, and so many slushies you can get at 7-Eleven.
I mean,
But
we had enough money to get one a
I
week.
mean, it was a good time. Like it's
As
not
in me and Shauna,
complaining.
not my parents. They could afford more.
But it was hard. And I think
Yeah.
there should be room to acknowledge that it was a difficult time. I mean, you were 8 or 9. I had just turned 11, so you're kind of already moving towards like the prepubescent age, and really looking for who are you, and
Yeah.
finding your place and your friendships. Um, so I feel like um, there can sometimes be a mindset of, if you call on the more negative things or things you struggled with, that you're ungrateful or that you don't see the positives. But like you said in the beginning, it can be parallel. Two things can be true at the
Yeah.
same time. Um, Also, I do not believe in toxic positivity. If something's not feeling too great, that should be, you should be able to mention that. And I feel like, looking back, with our more mature brains, is we can honestly reflect on the fact that, yeah, we were incredibly lucky and blessed with the life that we had, and with the parents who tried everything to make our life as good as it could be, alongside the fact that there was a grief
Yeah.
that was happening.
And I think a continuous grief because
Mhm.
every country you move in gives you something, but it also takes a little piece of you. Like you,
Yeah.
you keep that piece there. And like we said, having one foot in two different worlds, I feel like we have 8 feet in 8 different worlds.
Mhm.
And some more than others. Like, Singapore's obviously the biggest and Dubai the second and Philippines, I don't remember anything. So, I don't really care. But there's so much of our hearts in different places. And I love all those parts of me, when we're in Penang. I love being there. I love seeing our friends there,
Mhm.
eating at that one
Batu
food court.
Fringy. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, that makes me happy, but it also makes me happy to be, if we're to go back to Florida or to be here with my family. And you never feel whole
Mhm.
anywhere. But I think that's also a very nice, like, not comparison, but like to let that be and that's okay. Because how lucky are we that we had so many places that made us feel loved.
Mhm.
um, and the whole concept of, this is going to like turn theological. I don't entirely mean it to do that, but as Christians, this is not our home. So the feeling of homesickness, like, just another reminder, like, hey, but this is not our home, so it's okay that I don't feel at home everywhere here.
It's funny that you mentioned the feeling of not feeling at home, is because I was listening to the episode that you did with Koen
Yeah,
on the train home from work. And at one point, you said something that kind of gave me a little lump in my throat, is where you talk about homesickness,
yeah,
and that if Koen is homesick, he can drive an hour and, homesickness
relieved.
relieved. And for us, that is extremely out of reach. We can't just be like, oh, I'm going to Singapore for the weekend. I mean, we
Yeah,
could, but that would be
so expensive,
extremely expensive, and a
unrealistic.
large time cost that would go into that as well.
Yeah,
Um, so, I mean, at the end of the day, it is possible, but it's not realistic. Um,
and I think that's what makes us miss it so much, maybe because
yeah,
it's so.
it's so out of reach.
Yeah,
And even with Florida, I remember, and I was talking with mom about this lately, is when we were there back on holiday and we were staying at a hotel, and then we would go for breakfast every morning at a restaurant in that hotel. And I was like, I can't for the life of me think of the name of that restaurant. But it brings back just this feeling, like this nostalgia, happy feeling, that I started to kind of obsess over it. And I was just scrolling on TikTok, and there's this guy who goes out to a restaurant, like a different one every week with himself or whatever. And then he was like, taking myself out on a solo date to Perkins. I was like, I'll be damned.
that's it.
It was Perkins. And then, as I do, I went on Google and I looked up Perkins, Wellington, Florida. They have closed. And then I
Wow.
went through their menu just to see what was on it. It's a very large menu.
Welcome to America.
But I was like, oh, something that I've just been in the back of my mind the whole time, of just like that little feeling of nostalgia, of comfort.
It touches that part of your heart that you left there.
Yeah, yeah. So when you were talking about that, I just really started to think about that, and how you can really, I don't know how you experience that, but for me, sometimes then you'll really start searching for that feeling of,
What can connect me to?
yeah, and
Yeah,
you'll go to anything to find it. For me, that was Google and finding Perkins and discovering that they had closed, and but just be like, ah, I remember that.
yeah,
Oh, that was over there. I used to, when I was younger, go on Google Earth and look up our old address in the States.
yeah.
Um,
That's
yeah.
another one of those things like you forget, and now that you're saying it, I remember when we lived in the Netherlands. We had that computer room
Hmm.
because back then you didn't have laptops.
You
You
had the
had,
family computer,
and it was like this huge ass
this large
box.
contraption of,
Yeah,
yeah,
and it took forever to turn on. Like, man, if people think that phones or whatever take forever now, you should have grown up in the 90s. Um,
early 2000s.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I would look on Google Earth as well. Also, when we lived in Dubai, I would look on Google Earth, like all of the places we had lived that I remembered, which was basically Penang and Florida. When we lived in Singapore, I did it for Dubai too. And I would just like roam around Google Earth, like, oh, there's Al Safa Park, there's this, there's that, to feel like I was kind of there. I've
Mm,
done it here for Singapore, um, crossing the AYE to go to school,
yeah.
our neighborhood, stuff like that.
An old friend of mine, I was chatting with her via Instagram. She still lives in Singapore, and she was like, "Oh, last week I went for dinner at Ayer Raja Food Court," and I was like, "She's like, I don't know if you still remember." I'm like, "I remember. I absolutely remember Ayer Raja Food Court, because we would spend our Tuesday evenings there."
When we lived
Um,
in Faber,
yeah,
no, we lived in Burgundy, we went to different ones, but
yeah,
these were streets where we lived in
yeah.
Singapore. um, yeah. Yeah, those things make me nostalgic. And I have to say, it really comes and goes. Like,
Mhm.
it ebbs and flows. Comes and goes. Um,
But I feel like those ebbs and flows are more intense, not in frequency, but
how
in
you experience it.
yeah.
Yeah, because honestly, the past few weeks I've done pretty good not feeling too homesick. But I also feel like the time is just going so fast. Like, now that we have Bo, um, time flies so much faster than it did before we had him, even though I already felt like every year that goes by, it goes quicker. Like it's already the end of October. 2 more months and it's New Year's and then Bo's birthday and whatever. But when I have it good. And like it gnaws away at my heart. I dream
Mm.
about it. I think about it. It's almost obsessive, but I can't. It's not like a choice that I'm obsessing over
Hmm.
it. So it's a very strange. I think it's a very strange thing to have so many parts of you in so many different places and the different identities. We've spoken about this a little bit before, but when we go to Singapore, we're different, Shauna and Tessa, than we are here. And I think that'll be really interesting when we go back. Oh my gosh, we should like film an episode there,
Yeah.
make a little vlog.
But I
Um,
do feel like, absolutely, I do feel like of all the places that have formed you, Singapore has the biggest piece of my
Heart.
self, my heart, my identity, because in most of still what I do or how I think or how I behave is directly related to what we did in Singapore. I mean, now more from an adult perspective, obviously, no longer a teenager. So with maturity and all of that, but
Sorry.
that's okay. Just in your core, in your values, in your yeah, you know, how we still, if someone is older or in an authority space, it's automatic respect, no questions asked. Whereas here, you look at that differently. But that is something so embedded in my character. Um, it's like Singapore will forever be a large part of me, you
Yeah.
know?
No matter how far away it gets.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing. Like, your childhood forms you. I feel like maybe sometimes more than your adulthood does. Your formative years,
Yeah.
obviously, but and that can never be taken away. That Singapore is where we, were
Hmm.
formed. Um, oh yeah, what I was thinking just now, I'm really interested in who we are going to be and what it's going to be like for us when we're back in Singapore.
Hmm.
Like we're planning to go in maybe like a year or something, if that all works out. Um, but are we going to go back to the 18 and 20-year-old Tessa? Are we somewhere in between? Like,
I feel like it would, like with everything, it would be a bit of both.
yeah,
Somewhere your younger self comes back out, and then on the other hand, you look at things with new eyes.
yeah. But I also feel like it's going to be like little children let loose in a candy land. Like we're going to be so excited
Yeah.
walking around there. Um,
Oh, I have to go to Orchard. Oh, I have to go to Drug. Oh, I have to go to Gem. Oh, I have to go to Westgate. Oh, Ion. Or
exactly that. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. But I think that's a good depiction of mourning our moves.
not mourning our losses.
I mean, the downside to the TCK life, which I think for some people it's intenser than others. For us, the positive always had the upper hand, I think.
Yeah, and I think we always really tried to
Make something.
emphasize the positive, because a lot of people that didn't grow up this way really focused and only saw the negatives, with being, oh, you must be mentally unstable, you must have serious attachment issues, oh, you don't have friends, oh, this, that, or the other.
Yeah.
That
So
maybe we also tended to overcompensate in the
making it
positives.
sound better than it was.
Yeah,
Because you don't want people, like, you're sharing something that you think is really cool and something vulnerable. And when people react like that, it's kind of like, oh,
it's like a rejection. Yeah.
yeah. And it makes me a little bit mad. Like, why would you look at it so negatively when I'm trying to share something good with
But
you?
you don't know what you're talking about. You don't
Yeah.
know. Like, you
No,
weren't
fight
there.
me.
Yeah.
um, I think keeping a certain distance from people with that, but that's another topic. But I think it's a good depiction of like the things that TCKs do go through, some more than others. Um, but it's a very real side of it as well. It's not all fun and games. It's a beautiful lifestyle, but it does come with its
Like with
painful
everything,
things.
you
Yeah.
give some and you take some, right? I mean,
Looking
pros and
back, it was
cons.
worth it, but it
Yeah.
was difficult sometimes.
And I think it's okay to mention that,
Yeah, definitely.
because, just you live in another country, but it's not like you're there on holiday. You're living life. You're going to work, you're going to school, you have your daily problems.
Got to do your laundry, got to cook,
Yeah,
got to clean.
you still poop.
Oh,
Sometimes you
really?
still get sick. Yeah, I think a lot of people tend to look at it as one big party or one big vacation, but it's like your daily life, but then just in another country.
Sorry, bro.
That's okay. I think we should wrap it up anyway. It's late.
This is not a boredom yawn. I'm just
Also,
really tired.
daylight savings happened this past weekend, so my whole biological clock is like,
It was dark when I left work.
yeah,
Like,
that is a really weird thing to get used to again.
but I went into work when it was like not fully light yet, and I
Mm.
didn't leave the office until I left. And so I did
Wow.
not see this. I did not see the sun today. Is my point.
Mm.
I did not get any vitamin D from the sun. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, okay. So that's what we're gonna wrap it on. I did
Yeah, we
not
can
see
go
the
ahead and
sun
wrap it
today.
up. Yeah.
We want to thank you guys for listening and tuning into our a little bit more like emotional, real side about the TCK life. Not all fun and games. Mourning our moves, not our losses.
Mhm.
We would like to once again remind you to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Share it to your friends. Subscribe to our channel. Click the little bell button so you get notification whenever we post.
43% of our watchers/listeners are not subscribed, which I mean, an overwhelming amount of people are. But to the 43% of you, please, please press the subscribe button.
We see you.
Yeah.
Subscribe. Next to that, it's good to know that this is episode 22. Season 1 will be concluding at 24 episodes. So after today, there's just 2 more to go. And then we will be on break for a little bit before starting and launching up season 2 again. So, got to make y'all miss us a little bit before we come back.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Exactly. And I mean, the holidays are coming, so it's nice to not also have to. No, that sounds like I don't want to do this. But anyway.
No, you're busy enough.
Exactly. We want to be present during the holidays. Yeah. But we love you guys. Thank you for your support and your watches and your views. It's the same thing.
We'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.